What's up, everyone, and welcome to NFL Nexus. Today, we're jumping into a really fascinating look at a potential future for the Miami Dolphins. We're going to break down a mock draft and team analysis that lays out a super bold, pretty risky, but maybe, just maybe, a brilliant strategy for the 2026 NFL Draft. And hey, before we get started, if you enjoy this kind of deep dive, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, like the video, and drop a comment with your thoughts. It really helps the channel out. Also, we've got some awesome coloring books for fans of all ages, kids, grandkids, even you. You can find them using the link in the description or the QR code on your screen. All right, let's get into this thing.
So this is really the question at the heart of it all, isn't it? From the outside looking in, the Dolphins have made some absolutely massive, head-scratching moves. They traded away a bona fide star in Jalen Waddle, and they've handed the keys to the entire franchise to a quarterback who's barely played. It looks like chaos. But what if it's not? What if there's a very deliberate, high-stakes master plan unfolding right before our eyes? Well, that's exactly what we're here to unpack.
Okay, to really get what they're doing in this mock draft, you have to understand the situation they're in. There are three huge factors at play here. First up, you've got the new head coach, Jeff Hafley, a guy who lives and breathes defense. That's his entire identity. Second, by shipping out Waddle, they've created a massive, gaping hole on offense. You can't just ignore that. And third, the biggest piece of the puzzle is that the organization is making a monster bet on Malik Willis to be their franchise guy. Every single move we're about to talk about is dictated by these three realities.
So, if you're Miami, where do you even begin a rebuild like this? Well, you start with the vision of your new head coach. And for them, that means the first order of business is laying down a strong foundation on the defensive side of the football. And believe me, they are not wasting any time doing it.
And this right here tells you everything you need to know about their priorities. With the 11th overall pick in the draft, they go straight for a cornerstone piece for Coach Hafley's secondary, cornerback Jermod McCoy. This isn't just filling a need, it's a statement. It's them planting their flag and saying, the new era of Miami Dolphins football is going to be defined by defense first and foremost.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because you have to look at the massive risk versus reward with a player like McCoy. On one hand, the strengths are just off the charts. We're talking about a former long jumper, which tells you all you need to know about his explosive lowers. He's got those oily hips, which means he can flip and turn and run with any receiver without losing a step. He's fluid, and he has fantastic ball skills. The upside here is a legitimate shutdown #1 corner. But, and this is a huge but, look at that weakness. He missed the entire 2025 season with a torn ACL. That's a massive red flag. So what you're seeing here is a huge gamble. They're betting that the incredible athletic talent is still there and that the medical reports are clean. It's a boomer bust pick right at the top of the draft.
But hey, you can't build a whole defensive identity with just one guy, right? It takes more than a great corner. So the investment continues. They don't stop there. In the third round, Miami decides to double down on that athletic, defensive philosophy, this time to go after the other team's quarterback.
So let me introduce you to Kieran Crawford. Now, he's not going to be the biggest guy on the field, and he's not the most technically sound pass rusher. Not yet, anyway. But what he brings is pure, unadulterated juice. Explosiveness. The plan here isn't to ask him to be a three-down player from day one. Nope. The plan is to unleash him on 3rd and long, in obvious passing situations, and just let his athleticism take over. He's a specialist, designed to create immediate chaos and pressure right out of the gate.
And this slide really paints the perfect picture of who he is. Look at the strengths: twitchy athleticism, bend. Those are words you use for an elite athlete who can dip his shoulder and turn the corner on a big offensive tackle. But then you look at the weaknesses. Needs technique refinement. Undersized against the run. That tells you he's still raw. He can get pushed around a bit in the running game. So what Miami is doing here is they're drafting the athlete. They're betting that their brand new coaching staff has what it takes to develop him into a complete football player. It's another high upside gamble on traits.
Okay, so we've established the plan for the defense. Get younger, get more athletic, build around the new coach's vision. That's all well and good, but what about that Jalen Waddle-sized hole on the other side of the ball? In this next section, we're going to see how the Dolphins try to use this draft to not just replace their star, but to completely rebuild the entire ecosystem around their young quarterback. All right, so with their second first-round pick, remember they got that in the trade, Miami addresses the Waddle situation head-on. They go out and get wide receiver KC Conception. And the goal here could not be more clear. They are trying to replicate Waddle's dynamic, make you miss in space, yards after the catch skill set, but on a cheap 4-year rookie contract. This is a brilliant move from both a strategic and a financial standpoint.
So what kind of player is Conception? Well, just look at those strengths.
Elite short area footwork and separation quickness. Let me tell you what that means. He's an absolute nightmare for defenders to cover one-on-one. He's shifty, he can stop on a dime, and he creates space for himself instantly. Now the downside, he's not a pure burner like Waddle was. He has more average deep speed, and the scouting report says he can have some issues with drops over the middle. So he's not a direct clone of Waddle, but he creates separation in a more technical, crafty way.
The Dolphins' front office is smart, though. They know that you can't just plug in one talented receiver and expect your whole offense to be fixed, especially with a young QB. Malik Willis is going to need time to throw the ball, and he's going to need more than one guy to throw it to. So they use the middle rounds of the draft to build a complete support system around him.
First things first, you got to protect your investment. With their second-round pick, they grab a guard, Emmanuel Pregnon. This is a classic, fundamental football move. If you are going all in on a young quarterback, the absolute best thing you can do for his development is to give him a clean pocket to work from. Interior pressure is a quarterback's worst enemy, and Pregnon brings that immediate power and starting potential to shore up the inside.
Next up, they give Malik Willis a totally new kind of weapon. This is Justin Joly. He's what we call a modern F tight end. Don't think of him as a traditional hand-in-the-dirt blocker. Think of him as a movable chess piece. His entire job is to be a mismatched nightmare for the defense. You can line him up in the slot against a linebacker or flex him out wide against a safety. He's too quick for linebackers and he's too big for most defensive backs. For a young QB, having a reliable target with great hands over the middle of the field, man, that's an invaluable safety blanket. And finally, they complete their new-look receiver room with a completely different flavor. This is Ted Hurst. He's the big guy, 6'3", and he's a vertical threat. He can run and go get the deep ball. And this is what makes the whole strategy so intelligent. You're not just collecting random players, you're building a complete complementary attack. You've got Conception working the short and intermediate routes, creating space underneath. And then you have Hurst taking the top off the defense, forcing them to respect the deep ball. That creates even more room for everyone else to work. It's just smart team building.
So let's recap. The Dolphins have rebuilt their defense with athletic playmakers. They've reloaded the offense with a diverse set of weapons. Everything they've done seems laser-focused on supporting their young starting quarterback, Malik Willis. But then they do something that seems to completely contradict that entire plan. This, right here, is the riskiest, most head-scratching, and most debated part of their entire strategy.
Let's just start with this number, 548. I'll say it again, 548. That is the total number of career NFL snaps Malik Willis has played heading into the 2026 season. To give you some perspective on that, many rookie quarterbacks play more snaps than that in their first year alone. This is an unbelievably small sample size to base an entire franchise's future on.
And if you thought that last number was wild, this slide just puts it into a whole other stratosphere. It's not just Willis. Their entire quarterback room, Willis, Quinn Ewers, and Cam Miller, have thrown fewer passes in the NFL combined than the Las Vegas Raiders' single starting quarterback. Let that sink in. They have the least experienced QB room in the entire league, and it's not even close. This is truly uncharted territory in the modern NFL. Which, of course, leads us to the most logical question you could possibly ask. You're probably thinking it right now. If your quarterback room is already the most inexperienced in the entire league, why on earth would you use a valuable draft pick to add another project player to that mix? It seems completely counterintuitive. It makes no sense, right?
And here's the wild answer. They aren't drafting for safety. They're not looking for polish or experience. They are gambling on pure, unadulterated physical traits. With their final third-round pick, they select quarterback Taylon Grain, a player who is the living embodiment of a high-ceiling, low-floor prospect. They are betting purely on his jaw-dropping physical gifts and hoping they can coach him up.
Just look at this breakdown. The strengths are the kind of things that make scouts drool. We're talking rare size/athleticism. He's a true dual-threat attack, and he's got a cannon for an arm. He can make plays that 99% of other quarterbacks on the planet just can't. But the weaknesses are just as extreme. He is raw as the day is long. His throwing motion is unorthodox, and maybe most concerning, he puts the ball in harm's way at an alarming rate. So the key thing to understand here is, this isn't a safe backup plan. This is them buying another lottery ticket. They are doubling down on the strategy of acquiring insane physical talent at the quarterback position and just hoping one of them hits.
So let's step back and pull this all together.
We've seen them go after a defensive identity, we've seen them reload the offense with a bunch of different weapons, and then we saw them take a massive, massive swing on another toolsy project quarterback. What does this all add up to? Is there a coherent philosophy here, or is this just chaos?
I think there is a philosophy, and here it is, broken down into 3 clear steps. Step 1. Build the defense in the image of your new head coach with high-upside, super-athletic players. Step 2. Surround your young, unproven quarterback with a diverse and, importantly, affordable set of offensive weapons. And Step 3, the big one, completely abandon the traditional idea of finding a safe, polished quarterback. Instead, you collect as many high-trait lottery tickets at the position as you possibly can, and you pray that one of them hits the jackpot.
And really, that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Is this a forward-thinking, Moneyball-type approach to building a team in the modern NFL, or is it a reckless, high-stakes gamble that completely ignores the importance of stability at the most important position in all of sports? There is such a fine line between genius and madness, and with this strategy, the Miami Dolphins are walking right on it. Only time is going to tell which side they end up on. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to NFL Nexus for more breakdowns like this. Thanks for watching.